This is Democracy Watch. Marc, I want to draw your attention to a headline that even before Trump's taken office has already presented itself as especially chilling. Incoming senior Trump administration officials have begun questioning career civil servants who work on the White House National Security Council about who they voted for in the 2024 election, their political contributions, and whether they have made social media posts that could be considered incriminating by President-elect Donald Trump's team. So right off the bat, what do you make of this line of questioning, this interrogation that's happening for folks who are otherwise career civil servants?
It's completely inappropriate. It is outrageous, and it really needs to be focused on a lot more than it is. Because if it's happening in the national security arena, just imagine what's going to happen when you get into the rest of the federal government. I mean, the fact is, who these people support politically, who they voted for example, is a secret. We have a secret ballot in this country. The fact that they may have voted for one candidate or another or supported one candidate or another does not go to the question of whether or not they can do their job and they can execute their oath of office. But most chilling of all of it that you listed is this idea that what they would post would be quote unquote incriminating. I mean, think about that, right?
Right.
It's the opposite of incriminating. Incriminating is what happens when you, for example, you instigate a violent insurrection in the nation's capital, and you,
For starters,
right? I mean, these people are what is, it's like a bizarro world. It's like if they, for example, said, we should have a peaceful transfer of power, that is now the thing that's incriminating, right? So what they want is to make sure that these people are sycophants for Donald Trump. They want to make sure that these people are loyal to Donald Trump, and that is what would be incriminating.
Well, walk us through this. How unorthodox is this? Like, a president will come in and to a degree they can exercise their prerogative in terms of who they want to staff their administration. But where does that end? Where do the political appointees end and the career civil servants begin? And how much of what we're seeing right now with the NSC, for example, the National Security Council, how much of what's happening now is unorthodox versus normal?
Yeah. So first of all, it's all abnormal, and it may be worse than abnormal. I mean, it is one thing if you are appointing an ambassador to a warm weather climate country, that you want to make sure you have your political supporters and your donors, the people who voted for you. They were
or just exiling Carrie Lake to as far as you can possibly get her.
Or, someone who maybe Don Jr., would rather be elsewhere.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but maybe a past relationship of Don Jr.'s. Okay, well, let's dive into this. Would you recommend that these folks who are being interrogated about their votes, about their social media posts, about their political contributions, why not just lie? Why not just say, yeah, I voted for Donald Trump? This way they can continue to be in a job where they're clearly needed and can serve as a bulwark against his worst impulses.
Yeah. So look, I mean, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't, right? I mean, these folks are at a very important part of the government, so you want the best people, but also you can't put them in a position of lying, right? I mean, they also, many of them, if not all of them, have security clearances, so lying is like a big deal if they're lying in the course of their official duties. But the real thing is that, I said it's one thing if it's an ambassador, when you get into like the cabinet officials and the sub-cabinet officials, certainly presidents want people who view the world the same way they do or policies the same way. But even there, it would be unusual to ask them who they voted for. I mean, could you imagine Barack Obama or a Joe Biden, picking up the phone and asking, Pete Buttigieg, who'd you vote for?
Yeah.
It represents, even that would be extraordinary. But when you get down into the bowels of these professional staff, it is completely inappropriate. It is completely unacceptable. And you are putting them, to your question, in an impossible position, right? Do they say, look, I want to continue to do the work of the American people, so I'm going to say something that may not be true? Or am I going to try to please this tin pot dictator coming into office?
Well, not only would it be unusual, but if Barack Obama or Joe Biden did the same thing, think about what the right's reaction to that would be. Think about the nonstop coverage that would be if they, politicize the government, which just so happens to be an issue that they purport to care a hell of a lot about. And yet when it's happening in real time, but at the hands of a guy with an R next to his name, suddenly it's a complete non-story.
Yeah, and not just the right-wing media. I mean, one of the reasons, Brian, why I was so interested in, all these many episodes again, being part of this with you on your channel is because think about what the legacy media would do. And so, the legacy media, not just the right wing, would skewer a Barack Obama. They skewered Barack Obama over wearing a tan suit. They would
Right.
skewer a Joe Biden. I mean, think about what we have put up with for the last 4 years and how the legacy media has treated Joe Biden. And like I said, it's one of the reasons why I have wanted to be part of this effort with you, and we'll keep doing it through the next Trump administration, because there aren't a lot of places people can go to get good, accurate information. And I am proud to say that Democracy Watch is part of your channel. That is one of those places where people can get that information.
Well, I appreciate that. And I would also be remiss not to mention your outlet that you founded, Democracy Docket, which is the outlet that focuses on everything voting in elections. Again, a leader in so many of these issues that legacy media has dropped the ball on. So for folks who are watching right now, and if you're not yet subscribed, I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. Do yourself a favor, subscribe, not just to get good information, but to support fearless journalism, which is what's happening there. Marc, I do want to drill in again to what that initial headline said about making social media posts that Donald Trump might view as incriminating. What does that little tidbit say about the ways in which Trump is seeking to weaponize the courts and chill speech that would be critical of him at the same time?
Look, Brian, he is going to take the oath of office and he is going to weaponize his power over the federal government every possible way. The fact that this is starting with the intelligence community should send a chill down everyone's spine. Because like I said, the U.S. government, our foreign policy, the safety of Americans living domestically and abroad depend on good, accurate intelligence being collected, good, accurate intelligence being digested, and presidents getting that information shared with them and shared with our allies in order to keep Americans safe. But instead, he is already beginning a purge of these people. And he's putting the likes of Tulsi Gabbard, if it's up to him, in charge of these folks. And it will make America less safe. But what it says, to answer your question directly, is that if he'll do that in the most nonpartisan of areas, which is our intelligence agencies, just imagine what he's going to do when Kash Patel, if he's the head of the FBI, if Pam Bondi, if she's the head of the Department of Justice, where, as you say, he can weaponize, the courts and indictments and investigations to go after his political opponents, both inside of government and outside. But even, I know that you and your family and your friends have been, dealing with the harrowing effects of climate change and wildfires in California, and you wound up in an interview you had with Gavin Newsom getting in the middle of that to the good, by the way, causing good trouble, as John Lewis would say. But just imagine what he will do to politicize. He's already politicizing the wildfires. Imagine what he will do if he starts purging the weather service, if he starts purging the fire, the people who do fire response agencies, FEMA, which we know he did in his first term. But imagine how damaging that will be if we don't have the best people serving those who have been forced out of their homes because of forest fires or other natural disasters. We are in for a rough road over the next 4 years. This intelligence purging is really worrisome. These litmus tests are really worrisome. We're going to see more of it. It's going to pervade all of our lives. But what we can't do is we can't back down and can't back away from it. We can't do what so much of the legacy media is doing. We cannot normalize it. We have to keep fighting against it.
Well, all of which, again, underscores the need for fearless journalism, and that's what we're seeing at Democracy Docket. So, again, I'll put the link right here on the screen and also in the post description of this video. I'm Brian Tyler Cohen.
I'm Marc Elias.
This is Democracy Watch.